Hello, my name is Gabe and welcome back to WiscoTrains. We're here on my modern Green Bay and Western, and today I want to talk about a comment that I got on my most recent short that got me to thinking about what exactly does all this cost and is it worth it? So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, everybody. So that comment on my most recent short is from Rob U8Z4R. And he asked, how much does all this cost? Goodness gravy, I could get a first appearance store comic for a few $1,000s and it'll increase in value. He continues on talking about his other hobbies and stuff, which and that he does appreciate the artistry and the modeling that I'm doing. But he does have a good point. What does all this cost? And that's a question I've been thinking about for a while, not just because I want to, know how much money I'm spending on all this, but because there's actually some good reasoning for doing it. Today we're going to ask, how much have I spent on this model railroad so far, why you should find out the same, and whether or not it's worth it. So we're going to start with what it's cost so far for me. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I have a 7-foot 9-inch by 13-foot N scale model railroad. I am modeling a what if the Green Bay and Western made it to the modern era. It's a folded figure 8, has 4 towns on it, nothing super complicated, interchange with Fox Valley, Lake Superior, and a staging yard. Also, I'm only going to talk about the things that have gone into this layout so far, and not necessarily items I have bought before, or all the magazines and books that I have purchased. I'm not going to talk about my WiscoTrains or anything like that I also have in storage. I'm just going to talk about what it costs to build this layout so far if I was just doing it from scratch. How much do the trains, the cars, the equipment, the buildings, the scenery, the bench work, how much does all that cost? That's what we're going to work on. So what we'll start with is, well, the base of the layout, which is the bench work. So for the bench work, it's pretty basic. It's all 2x4 legs with 1x2 bracing, and then I have it all attached to L girders made from 1x4s and 1x2s. And on top of that are 1x2 stringers with 1/2-inch plywood on top. And that creates a pretty sturdy base. It's all kind of more of a tabletop design, even though the layout probably looks a little bit more like a shelf layout. So for the bench work, and just the bench work, about $215 worth of wood. That appears to be what I have in my budget from that time, and what I spent on just the wood for the layout. Next, in order to give myself hills and rivers and any other sort of scenery, and as kind of a sub road bed, I probably used about 3 sheets of inch extruded insulation foam. Right now, I don't know how much I spent at the time, but I know right now it's about $65 for 3 sheets of that. And that's about what it costs, and probably about is all I'm going to need. I still have a bunch of leftover. Where I'm modeling is pretty flat, so I don't have to worry about a ton of hills and stuff like that, but I do want to have some scenery variations. With the bench work out of the way and the sub road bed out of the way, let's talk about the more boring electronics part of the layout. I used at least 100-foot roll of 16-gauge wire. I used box tap splices. I've at least used 2 double pole, double throw switches. One's installed, one's not yet. And then a box of stud rings. Onto the more fun and more interesting electronic portion of the layout. I have an NC Power Cab starter set, which at the time I purchased for $184.99, which apparently is a deal because I have it listed as being $249.99 right now. And that's the DCC power system for the layout. It includes a controller and the power source and the plug in the wall. And I also have a Rail Power 1370 DC controller that I have hooked up to the layout ever so often to run DC equipment and stuff before I install DCC into some of my locomotives. And as of now, what I can find on Train World, it's worth about $84.99. Okay, and the last bit of electronics I'm going to talk about that isn't trains are these LED linkable shop lights. They're made by Metalux. I bought them at Home Depot. I believe they were about $35 a piece, and because I have 6 of them, it cost me about $215 and some change, which ironically is only $1 less than it took to build the benchwork. However, they really do light up the layout. The next part of construction would be the backdrop and the fascia, and I used 2 4x8 sheets of 1/8 inch hardwood to do both of these, I think all together, because there's some on the other side. And this is only a portion of it. There's going to be more to it, but this divides Seymour over here from New London over here, and then this disguises this Foxy sneak off. And I'm going to put the totals on screen for both of those things. Now we're starting to get some of the more expensive stuff, and let's talk track and roadbed. So roadbed is foam roadbed from Woodland Scenics, and I believe I only used, I don't know, I'm not 100% certain. I can't quite remember if I used 2 boxes of it or 1 box, but we'll just go on the conservative side. 1 box of Woodland Scenics end scale track bed strips is $24.99, and that's what I have pretty much on most layout, except for where I just don't have any roadbed like here. All the track you see is code 55 Atlas, mostly number 7 switches where it's visible. So those are each about 21 and some change on Train World right now. Let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. For a total of $329.98. Now on to the other switches. I also have 3 of these curved turnouts on the layout, each about 21 bucks a piece, so that comes out to be about 62 and some change. I also have 5 number 4 switches. I have one here that's in the visible area, and that is at my Seymour grain elevator / feed company. And then I also have a few in my staging yard where it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it operates well. So that's a total of $107 and some change for the other switches, and I actually still need a few more for my staging yard, but that's not the topic of this video. Okay, and then the final thing to tally up for the track work is, well, the track itself. You can see here I actually used some sectional track. I used about 18 pieces of code 20 radius sectional track, which came out to be about $26, $27. And I didn't use that everywhere, but I used it in a few spots, like right here, you can see, just so that I had some better curves and made sure that they were the correct size. I used about 35 pieces of Atlas Code 50 Flex Track, and that comes out to be about $202.77. So not quite as much as my switches cost me, but still a pretty penny. Okay, so next we're going to talk about buildings, and we're going to kind of do a rapid round, and we're not going to talk about the scratch build ones, we'll do that at the end. So we have a Walther's Lumber Company, which I've used in 2 places, here at Grand Valley Forest Products, and then I used the office here at the Foxy Yard, which it's not complete yet, but we got some details to put on it. The next structure is this Rick's Modern Overpass, which is the Highway 45 overpass. The next kit / structure is the bridge over Embarrass Creek, which is a Central Valley truss bridge that I shortened to make it fit the space I have. Then moving into Highway 45, Business Highway 45, or Shawano Street in New London. Really, I only have one kit here, and that is this Maxwell Avenue end scale house from Rick's, which you're going to hear a lot about Rick's. Apparently, I buy a lot of Rick's stuff. Moving on, however, I have 4 Rick's 30-foot grain bins. Obviously, one is still in the packaging. I also have a Rick's Products grain elevator, which is still in the packaging, needs to be built. Over here in Seymour, I have 2 Blair Line product kits, one that's not finished and one that hasn't even been opened. This one I've had for a while and still need to finish. That's going to be for my flower company here. This Blair Line depot is going to be for a little museum that is off to the side. I also have some other random buildings. These were given to me, so I'm not really including those in the price of anything. They're free. I also have used one here. You can see it from the Foxy sneak off, and is meant to make it look like there's more going off over here. However, most of these I don't have immediate plans to use them in the shape that they are, but they probably will get used one way or the other once they get fixed up. Now, speaking of scratch built buildings, I have 3, and they're all over here in New London at the moment. One being the big building for Grand Valley Forest Products. Another being this thrift shop, and this one being a scratch-built mechanics shop. I don't really have a price tag on these. If I had to guess the styrene packages that I had to buy in order to build these 3 buildings, I would bet it's probably in excess of $100. However, I'm probably gonna get another 4 or 5 buildings out of that. So that's kind of a hard one to really add up. I just decided to throw that in for the tally for this video's sake, an extra $100. And we'll also say that covers a lot of the vehicles and smaller details you see. Like this little scene, I did a video on how I did this little scene with the acetylene tanks and the people. And then I don't have a lot of detail over here, but I have some detail like little pieces of wood. I got the container, little metal kit, which you can look that up, how I built that. And I have some vehicles and stuff and crossing signs and whatnot. So we'll say for the total when it comes to buildings and details and stuff like that, about $350 for all of that. The next thing we're going to talk about is the scenery. This is a really hard one to talk about. So really, just so everybody knows, just this portion of New London, as you can tell, once I go over here, is really the only portion of the layout that has scenery. This has some limited paint and stuff, but no ground foam, no ballast or anything like that. To me, this is a really hard one to calculate or even try to calculate. I did put the Woodland Scenic Static King on the list. It's about $110. It does all my static grass, which I have become ecstatic about. Get it? Static grass, static. Ever since I started using it, I've really have enjoyed it. So I don't know, because there's so many little things like paint, and I use some real sand, and then there's the water and grass and different ground foams and trees. So I added for this $150 because I do a lot myself. Coming up with stuff like making my own trees. This is my own tree I made, and then I recently did a video on how I made these bad boys, these pine trees. So go check that out. So yeah, it's really just buying the scenery products, and I might be grossly underestimating it, because even like the AK Relics asphalt stuff, it costs some money. So but that's what I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna estimate. I mean, this is a ballpark. Just trying to give everybody an idea here. So let's move on to the definitely more expensive portion of this, and maybe not so flashy as the locomotives, but the freight cars. So we're on to rolling stock, which is actually what I would say individually not the most expensive portion of the layout, but combined is the most expensive portion of the layout. So the good news is about this entire project is it forced me to catalog and organize all of my tool cases for my freight cars. I used this old mailbox thing that came from a local school, and I got it for free. They weren't using it anymore, so I've been using it to store all of my freight cars. The good news is I was a little worried about how I was going to figure out how all these cost, because looking up every individual car kind of seemed like a pain in the butt. But what I found out actually is a lot of them still have the price tag stickers on them, and also has what they were worth and then the sale price. So actually turned out pretty good in that sense, and the vast majority of them had them. So as opposed to going through each individual car, which I found out I have 61 that I cataloged. There's probably another 10 that don't have boxes that I have yet to catalog, but about 61 that I actually use on the layout. Those other 10 I don't use quite as much. So we're going to go over and talk about some of the cheapest cars I have and some of the most expensive cars I have. Here's my train of some of my most least expensive to some of my most expensive. This is a patched out Atlas Trainman covered hopper. It's fine freight car, but I mean it's missing some of the details that maybe you'd get for more money, like see-through grates up here. The hatch covers are pretty crude. They're just a block. It also has truck mounted couplers, which isn't the best. I make it work, but I would prefer not to. Also, I'm pretty sure I replaced the wheels on this to be metal. So on the low end, this cost me about 15 bucks for this one. So, I mean, really not a bad deal. I mean, it looks fine. And N scale, I think you can get away with some of the cruder molded on details than you can in like the larger scales, like HO. Next, this I believe is another Atlas Trainman boxcar, patched out, weathered up. Let's see, what does it say on the bottom? Yep, this is an Atlas. This also has plastic wheels and these metal wheels, but again, a fine stand-in. Like, I'm not looking for museum quality here, but helps cheap ways. So this one was about 19 bucks. Next is another Atlas Trainman. I mean, you've probably seen his theme here. Not weathered. Again, missing some of the finer details, but it's a potash car. You see these a lot in Wisconsin. This one cost me a little more. It's about $22, but it's still a great stand-in car. I mean, again, missing some of the details. This is all molded on, but with some weathering and amidst a large train, you're probably not going to really notice. So then getting into kind of the more expensive stuff here. This is a WiscoTrains Trinity 82-foot reefer. I have weathered. It's got a lot of great detail. You'll be able to see this one was about $39. I might have gotten this one on sale, but you can see the underside has a lot more detail. You can also see maybe that there's see-through grills down here. It's kind of hard to tell, but there are, just because it's black. It's got a lot of separately applied detail, like these little grab irons or maybe steps and whatnot. So a very nice car. Yep, this one was about $38.99. Next is this UCR Y box car. It's from Aurora Miniatures and is a beautiful car, also about 40 bucks. Has all the things that the last one did, see-through detail, all that fun stuff. But yeah, just a great looking car, and I can't wait to weather and make it look good. I might have to buy some more and make them Green Bay and Western cars, because it's really good that it just has the data, and all I would have to do is change the reporting marks. Then moving on to one that cost me apparently about 40 bucks is this articulated auto rack. And you can see it's pretty big. This one is an Ethereum model, and it looks pretty good. This is a beautiful car. All that metal you see on the side is see-through. I have weathered it. This one is, oh, there we go. Can we see the whole thing? This is an 89-foot auto rack made by Intermountain. I got it for $56, but apparently it retailed at $69.95, which is pretty big for something that's about the size, a little smaller than my hand. So we're getting into the spendy territory. Next are the intermodal cars, and this is a 3-well intermodal car set by Kato. Nothing to really write home about on these. It's a 3-car set, all articulated. As you can see, I just made a mistake, but it is one single car. Came with shipping containers. This one will set you back about $130. I think that's probably the right accurate estimate for this. I think that's about how much I spent on it. The next set is another Kato model of a 5-car well set. And this one apparently also cost me about $130 from best I could tell, but I saw it for as much as $170 for these 5 cars. Again, it's all articulated, and it's really one car all of in itself, but you are getting pretty much 5 cars. Plus I got all these cool magnetic shipping containers. So altogether, I did the math, and I have about $1,900 worth of freight cars on this layout, which seems like a lot, but to me this is kind of the more collectible side of the hobby, where you are kind of just collecting different kinds of cars and stuff. That is for 68 cars, something like that, and it's not like I purchased all these at once. This is a collection that's been built since, when did I get into N-Scale? 2018. So we're looking at 8 years worth of collections. A lot of the more expensive ones have been bought recently. That's just part of life and hobbies. The farther you go, the more you like the expensive stuff, and the more you're able to afford it. So let's move on to the individually more expensive things, and probably the most exciting part, and that's the locomotives. Another part of this hobby that is kind of collectible. So here's the current fleet of the modern Green Bay and Western. I have a lot of Kato locomotives and a lot of Atlas locomotives with a WiscoTrains in there too. So I have 7 locomotives right now. Most are DCC equipped, but we'll go through them individually and talk about how much they cost. So, somewhat unintentionally, these 3 are my cheapest. Probably the cheapest one I got right now, and that is this Kato ES44AC. It was originally about $90. I put my own decoder in it. I got a video on that. All said and done, about $130 between the decoder and the locomotive. So actually, this is a beautiful looking locomotive, and I'm going to paint it into Green Bay and Western colors. There's still a little bit more work to go into it, probably a little bit more money that has to go into it because of that. But yeah, it's a great locomotive, and I can't say enough about Kato locomotives and installing decoders into them. So about $130 for that. This one here is my WiscoTrains -9. It is the Operator Series, and also the first one that I painted into Green Bay and Western colors, which originally about $135, but got on sale for $130. Still a pretty good deal, and it runs pretty well. I like that the unlike the Kato units, ditch lights and the headlights turn on separately. So this bad boy, my Elco C424, this is about $144 is what I spent on it, and it's DC only. However, it is a brand new model. It is a C424. This still needs a decoder, and actually I could do sound in it, and I might because it has room for a speaker. But this one's meant to be part of my heritage fleet. For those who don't know, Green Bay and Western was always exclusively an Elco road, and the C424s are my favorite locomotives ever. I really like them. I've seen them operate in real life on the Lake State Railway when I was little. I was a big fan of the C&W ones in the book Elco Line by Eric Hermensky. I am going to have to spend a little bit more money. I wouldn't be surprised, all said and done, this is about a $200 locomotive. On to some EMD power. These two are both Kato locomotives. Both of them I've spent about 150 bucks for. This is an SD70 ACE. This is an SD40-2. Really both good, great locomotives. I believe this is the first one I airbrushed. You can tell that my painting skills got a little better on this one compared to the Dash 9. One thing I haven't mentioned about any of these is I did have to buy decals for all of these. I'm not really including that in my pricing. And both of them, about 150 bucks, DC equipped, no sound, and they're great runners, really. This one can be a little sluggish at times, but honestly, most Kato products are great. The two Jeeps you see here are the only two sound-equipped locomotives I have, and are both Atlas. This one is a GP38, and this one is a GP40. Again, both DCC equipped, both with sound, and because of that, even though they're the two smallest locomotives I own, the two most expensive. The 38 was $180, the 40 was $188. Both are pretty good runners. They run together pretty well. I still think I need to speed match them a bit. They have good detail. Obviously, I have painted both of them and decaled them, but for the price, I think they're not bad. 180 bucks for a sound-equipped, DCC-equipped locomotive. It's reasonable. So all said and done, the locomotive fleet, I'm about $1,000 into this. That's about what all that represents, $1,000 worth of locomotives. And honestly, this is probably, I don't know if I'd say the bare minimum, enough of a fleet that I could operate this layout without needing more locomotives in the way that I envision it. So for my layout, this is about all I need to have. Now it's going on to what I want to have and other things like that. So if you're curious about modern regional operations on a layout about this size, this is probably your minimum fleet size. So with all that said, I have a total price tag on the layout. According to my calculations, and again, some of this is a rough estimate, it's about $5,267. That's what I have in on the layout. And honestly, part of me isn't shocked by that number, but part of me wouldn't have been surprised if it was twice as much. I guess I think I spend more on this hobby than I do, and it feels that way at times. In January, it's going to be 4 years that I've been working on the layout, so that's all spread over there, and you know, I kind of think to myself, well, this is a lot to spend on a hobby. But if I was a golfer or anything like that, I would imagine I'd be spending a decent amount of money just paying for courses and stuff, and maybe $5,000 really isn't all that bad comparatively. So one thing I did want to mention is why I think you should do the same thing. You should go through and catalog all your stuff and get a rough estimate about how much this hobby is costing you. Or honestly, if you're in any other hobby, you should be doing the same thing. And there's a couple different reasons. One, it does make it easier when I'm going to buy similar freight cars. Now I know what road numbers I have and what road numbers not to buy when I'm looking online. The second two are a little more serious. One being is that, you know, my family has no idea how much this stuff costs. They're not into it as much as I am and not have a great idea of the estimate. If something happens to me, I would like them to know what this stuff is valued at and what they could be getting for it, or what would be reasonable. That's just reality. And I think I know the age range that is my viewership. That's something really to think about, is cataloging all this stuff so that when and if you're not around, somebody's able to figure out what it's worth and they can get something fair for it. The second being is recently, I live in Appleton. As you probably, a lot of you know, we just had tornadoes go through here less than a mile away. I'll put some pictures up. These are pictures I took. This is what it looked like. There are people who don't have houses anymore. And this might be a small thing compared to not having a house, but I would definitely like to be able to tell my homeowner's insurance how much money I lost in my model trains because of a tornado or something like that, or whatever kind of natural disaster, house fire. Again, not exactly the most happy and exciting stuff to talk about, but I think it's very important and it's something to think about. The last part of that comment that I want to address is the commenter mentioned that in his hobby, at least his things that he collects, appreciates, and he's correct. Now, the question is, does your model train collection, your models in general, do they appreciate? And that's kind of a hard question to ask, because I took a Kato SD70AC and CSX colors, which just about anybody modeling the modern era could run, and put it in Green Bay and Western colors. I honestly don't know. I don't think there's a great list of people who want to spend more money than what this was originally worth to get a locomotive in Green Bay and Western color. Maybe there's a few people out there who think it'd be a great display piece, but not really the kind of thing. This is a very niche thing. So I don't think this really appreciated in value. Let's take this boxcar. So this one is unweathered. I haven't gotten to it yet. Is it going to appreciate in value? Probably not. Will it stay about the same? Yeah, I think I could probably sell it for what I bought it for, which I'm assuming $35 for this one if I had to guess. However, there are people who weather models and sell them for more. Similar boxcar, paid about the same. Now that it's weathered, and I think fairly well, it's got the decals and stuff on it for the graffiti and whatnot, and I did some hand drawing stuff. Is there a chance I could get 50 bucks for this on eBay? On Facebook Marketplace? I don't know. I guess I would have to see what my skills are worth. I think it turned out pretty good. I wouldn't spend 50 bucks. I wouldn't buy it from somebody for 50 bucks because I like weathering my own stuff. But I do know people do that. People do weather trains and kind of have a career out of it, or at least a side career on it. So the real answer is, doesn't matter. Do I care? Not really. I'm not in this for collecting, making more money or anything like that. Honestly, I like the trains. I like the modeling. I like doing the art. I don't know of too many people who paint paintings just because they think it's going to make them money. I mean, could it? Yeah, sure. If I wanted to make this a commercial venture, could I? Yeah, and then maybe I will one day through this YouTube channel. I'm nowhere close to that, but if you think about it, then what's the appreciation on it? If all of a sudden I get 1 million viewers and I'm making X amount of money a month off of a YouTube channel, I don't know. Again, doesn't really matter. I'm just glad to have a hobby that keeps me busy, keeps me interested in things, and gives me something to do outside of work that isn't sitting on my couch scrolling and drinking beer. You know what I mean? The idea of hobbies was lost for a while. I think it kind of made a comeback with all the shutdowns during COVID and nobody being allowed to go do things. The hobby isn't valuable to me. I have a career which takes up a lot of my time and energy and effort, mostly mentally, somewhat physically, and I'm glad to have a hobby that I can go home and it's totally different and something that's fun and interesting, and I love building models and things like that. So hopefully I answered your question, dear commenter, from that video. Hopefully you watched it. I'd be shocked if you actually watched this video, but so thank you everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hopefully we get to some more layout updates. I have a product review I want to do. Never done one of those before, really. See you guys in the next one. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you watching. Bye.